We only have one speaker tonight, so I will just go ahead and call Prophet Youssef to the microphone as our speaker for tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank y'all for allowing me to be here.
All right.
My name is Prophet Youssef. I'm a community activist, a 20-year veteran of the Naval Service. Did 3 tours in Vietnam. I'm a retired school teacher. What I want to speak about, why Johnny can't read. The reason why Johnny can't read, he hasn't been taught the right way to learn how to read. Commander Robert Williams, United States Navy, wrote a book called Phonology, May the 12th, 1966. English is at least 85% phonetically regular. And if breaking the code was stressed instead of reading comprehension, the initial stages of reading instruction, more students would experience success instead of failure in school. Commander Williams concluded in his research that heavy meaning emphasized eventually handicapped the beginning reader, and found that a cold emphasis approach resulted in superior reading achievement in school. You can emphasize reading. 90% of academics hinges upon reading. I require a book a week on top of all other English curriculum, or in self-contained class on top of all other work. There were cries and moans the first 2 weeks or so, but because I would allow the students to read anything they wanted as long as it was a decent book, the idea was easy to sell. Reporting also was easy being done on 3x5 cards, handed in at the end of each month. Occasional reports were given orally to others in the class, and about once a month a book report was given as a topic of the weekly essay. Extra credit was given for extra books read. The average student can easily read more than 1 book per week, in addition to other work. The results of the practice are incredible. Up goes vocabulary, up goes reading comprehension, up goes interest in school, up goes the ability to write good sentences, up goes the psychosomatic ability to read fast and fast with more and more understanding, up goes the fund of knowledge acquired, up goes the ability to spell, up goes interest in all sorts of things, up goes students' confidence that they can achieve academic and very possible incomes, that lifetime interest which will lead them to the career they should enter. If you implement the book a week reading program, you can achieve amazing results with your children, even if you are the world's worst possible teacher. For your children will far outpace whatever they could have achieved in the very best of former school. I could teach any kid in Rockford how to read within 2 weeks. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your input.
Mr. President, I have a question just now, because on the internet, on your website, says meeting start at 7. So we all come here around 6:40, and actually you move a meeting 30 minutes. You did not publish your public schedule change. You did not notify the citizen of Rockford. Can we have a comment card given to you now as a fair? Because this is you publish on your own website. Says meeting will start at 7. You move to 6:30. This is not democracy. Right? I'm asking you emergency petition, please.
It's not even an emergency. It's a legal right. We should be allowed to speak. We're citizens. The card should have been out at the appropriate time.
Nobody was told.
So everybody came here on time. We need the card.
I can come to. May I approach to you?
Excuse me, no, sir.
No,
Step back, please. Okay. Step back behind the board. Step back, please. I'm asking you to step back.
The charter school hearing time was published for 6:30.
Okay.
Nobody was even aware of the meeting at 6:30 tonight. Nobody. They didn't even publish it on the website.
The notice went out?
It was not, and it was not.
We are taxpayers.
It was not publicized.
What's that?
Mr. President, President,
yes.
can we
It's a
allow,
violation of
could
the
you
state
please,
law.
sir,
Hang
It's
on
a
second.
violation of
You can-
state law.
could we please just allow the speakers who are asking to
I would be
speak?
happy. Do we have
Could we do
some
that?
people who would like to speak to the board tonight for the petitions? I will have you come to the microphone now. Please introduce yourself. I don't have a card for you, so if you would introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My name is L.C. Wilson. I'm a member of Winnebago County Board, and I just brought something that I want to direct, which pertains to what Prophet Musaf had said. District 205 needs to help increase the process of reading levels. Reading is a detriment to our future. It is kind of like the phrase, pay me now or pay me later, in the children's journey through life. Examples: crime will increase and low to non-existent job skills. There should be a roadmap to reach back and try to get the ones that do not read well. Try and look at the 20% whom have reading issues, the 80-20 rule. 80% of the problems are generally caused by 20% of the, in this case, the students. Something needs to be done right now or in the very near future. What new ideas in the long-term goal are you reaching for? This should, in my opinion, be somewhere high on your list of things that the district needs to do. There is an excess of over 15,000 people in Rockford and Winnebago County that cannot read. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, go ahead. Just please introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Maxwell Wang. I'm a former graduate of Auburn High School. So normally these board meetings, although granted, I don't think this really counts as a normal board meeting, but then you guys typically recognize a couple students and teachers. I think that's actually pretty nice. So today I'm going to talk about a couple people which I think are also pretty cool. George Carver, botanist, invented several hundred ways to use peanuts in the making of paints, gasoline, and of course, peanut butter. Daniel Williams, surgeon, performed the first successful open heart surgery. Henry Blair, engineer, invented the spark plug. Otis Boykin, engineer, invented a control unit for the artificial heart pacemaker. Emory Brown, neuroscientist, director of the most prestigious institute at the Harvard Medical School. Percy Julian, chemist, discovered several hundred ways to synthesize life-saving steroid drugs from soybeans. Do you know what all these have in common? African American. Each and every single one of them was an African American. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something that you may find to be very surprising. When it comes to math and science, the color of your skin does not matter. Now, look at our own school district. We have the whitest administration, but a student body that is predominantly African American. When I entered Auburn High School in 2010, I was joined by 814 other freshmen. In the end, only 299 of us graduated. Why? Maybe it has to do with the district's willingness to cut off funding for tutoring and instead give it to contractors to build new field houses because these contractors happen to be part of your white boys club. Or cut off funding for the copy machines so that teachers can't give out handouts because you guys prioritize building construction instead of education. I will ask that you guys do one thing. Do not abandon minorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Greer?
Reverend Anthony Greer. Again, we see an example of the behavior and the disorder and dysfunction of this district that we should not be proud of or even set examples for our children to see. But the question is, who would be the next principal at West, East, and Auburn? Moving the elementary principal from Welsh is not something that we will accept to movable principals or moving chairs like principals. We have other assistants that are well capable of doing these jobs. So then what does that say about them, that they're only good enough to be an assistant and not a head? Your mission, vision, and views. What is curriculum alignment? When we have failed to identify the appropriate system to teach our children how to write in cursive or tell time. What is diversity? What is that in this district when we have over 27,000 students, 67% of them are color, 87% of the teaching population is white? What is the representation of those who we serve? Colored need balance as well. We pay out over $220,000 to a leader that has not even reached out to the minority, who haven't even came out to the ones that he serves, but yet and still we call him our leader. He makes statements such as, our bottom line is we want our kids to be ready to pursue their dreams after high school. What is a dream in this district other than white? Okay. Engaging families and communities to be vital partners in education. Statistics shows that the blacks in this community are not vital partners, with 59% of black males graduating from the school district. How is it that we allow teachers to make recommendations for administrators to be hired at West Middle School when we only have 4 black staff in that building as teachers? So will they be on the panel, or will they be omitted from the panel because of the skin color? My question tonight is, how do you feel when you go to sleep at night knowing your child can wake up and watch DirecTV when other children can't? How do you feel when your child can get the things that they need when our children come to a school that's supposed to be providing the things that they need to get better?
Thank you for your input. Okay. Next speaker.
My name is Henry. I know you're probably sick of seeing me. The feeling is mutual. But I just wanted to bring back to your attention. You don't have to take notes. There's not anything that you don't already know. but something was published this week that should bring to your attention. Forbes magazine released the top 10 least educated cities in America, and Rockford was number 3. So as you sit on the school board as members who are responsible for the education, all of you should be removed. And it is something to say that you think that you don't have to hear the voice of those who are speaking to you from statistics that clearly show that you don't care about black students. So how can you have 95% white teachers that are majority females when you have a 80% black and Latino population and there's nothing being done to reach out or to change the condition? It lets us know then that your mind state has not changed, that you are the same as those who came before you who enslaved our people. The mind state has not changed. So it's not physical slavery, but mentally, if our children don't stand a chance after they leave your schools, then they are still being made into stools and to slaves. So we have a condition now where you look at our children, and if only 28% of the children who graduate from Rockford schools are college ready, meaning that they have a 21 or higher on the ACT, well, out of that 28%, what is the percentage of black children out of that 28%? When you break down the actual number, it is deplorable of you to call yourself an educator or be in a position of one who is over the children. So this is just your friendly reminder that your seats are not a permanent thing, that the day is coming when you will not be able to sit in your seat over our children because you are failures when it comes to education. And since you don't want to change, then the change must come from outside since it won't come from within. Thank you for listening.
You know, racism has a footprint.
Could you introduce yourself for the...
Yeah, Koya Muhammad. Thank you. Okay. Racism has a footprint. We want to find out who's wearing the shoe. Tonight, we have extra security. I saw 4 police cars outside. I see an extra security personnel here. But when Dr. Sheffield was here, there was over 200 people here. We didn't have extra security. It appears to me that when black folks began to stand up and express their given rights, all of a sudden security is increased. All of a sudden police presence is increased. Why is that? Well, racism is not like in Oklahoma. Racism is not like in Ferguson where you just say the N-word. It is systematic. And the systematic thing that we're dealing with now is only 7% of black children are gifted in Renaissance. But triple that is in special ed. So what you're telling a black child is that they're not gifted, that they're not expected to be excellent, but yet they are expected to be special ed. And only 45% of those who go to special ed graduate or are college ready. We have a problem in this district that we talk solutions, but we don't prove solutions. Readiness Rock cannot be a slogan. It must be accountable. And the data has not shown us the accountability which we pretend to have. Now, we are going on school zones. Isn't it funny? A teacher can teach wherever they want to teach, but a student is now confined to the zone if it's a bad school or not. There's been 5 math teachers in the 6th grade at Kennedy. How will that child be prepared for math as they matriculate on? So this is telling us now that you want to look at people's address when it deals with sports, but have you checked any of the people in gifted and Montessori if they are qualified for the test that you prepped them for? So how dare you treat us like second-class citizens when you are public officials? So we're calling on you today. Don't just come and talk to us at public meeting. Don't do your shenanigans. Meet with us like men, meet with us like women, and let's all save our school district together.
Thank you. Anyone else? Allison?
Hi, I'm Allison, and good evening, everyone. And so I'm just going to repeat an idea which I think everyone should be fully aware of. And so Larry Lessig, he's an American academic and political activist. He is also director of the Edmund J. Safra Center for Ethics at Harvard University, and he is additionally a Harvard law professor. And Professor Larry Lessig wrote that institutional corruption is the consequence of an influence that weakens the effectiveness of an institution, and it diverts its purpose. And the most common of such influences is money. He explained that this type of influence can be best explained by a compass. And so everyone knows that an arrow is supposed to point north, right? But then if you put a magnet right next to the compass, the needle starts to deviate and it leads people into the wrong direction that the perpetrator imposed to lead. And so when an institute is dominated by a certain power group, good people are forced to do bad things because of the influence of such power groups to ensure the political and economic success or even survival. Now, here we have a situation where money may have not been very nicely distributed. So teachers are starting to have to furnish their own classroom paper or even copier paper. At the same time, I see that so many contracts are just being pushed out. While you can just maybe, I don't know how much paper costs, but at least put some aside for something as simple as supplies and paper. Teachers should not have to be forced to provide it on their own self. Again, it's just all of these. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison. Anyone else?